everybody, and welcome back to the podcast. And today we're still talking about Animal Farm and its relationship and our relationship with AI. Magdalena is back with us today, which is brilliant, and our regular JC is also here today. Sam is dealing with a Christmas party, I think, today, but she's here in spirit, as you can see, or I'm putting my finger in the wrong direction. So Sam is here in spirit as well. And what we wanted to be talking about today is obviously Animal Farm, but also, are we becoming a slave to AI? And in relation to Animal Farm, I want to think about Boxer, the working horse, who went along with everything that the pigs and the revolution, and wanted to do everything he possibly could, and it didn't end up very well for him, and he was ultimately taken away to the knacker's yard because there was an accident. Of he had no involvement in the accident, but that was part of the problem, really. And he became a victim of something that he was trying to do good by. And I think to myself, are we possibly becoming victims of this AI culture, which will have no mercy? JC, over to you.
Well, this is a fascinating thing. Being a victim of AI, right? That's
Mm,
a
yeah.
funny thought process to think of. Is like, you know, we are deeply discouraged by the idea of victimhood, right? It's a term that, we don't like oppression.
Mm,
Whoever we are, whatever the history, background, whatever, oppression is a bad thing. We don't like being oppressed. And being the victim of oppression is like the worst thing. And yet, the biggest insult that we have for anyone, anywhere, is that they are the oppressor, right? They are worthy of being rebelled against and even taken down, revolted against, right? And so here we have this concept of this farm where the animals have decided that they are oppressed because the farmer gets all this profit off of their goods and services, if you will, that they provide as the animals. And that so the farmers must go, right? That's the revolution that
mm,
begins. And then, but then of course, obviously through the story, the pigs become the predominant, voice, the loudest voice. We were just talking right before we started the
yeah.
recording, and Magdalena was talking about the loudest voice seems to be the one that really gets the attention. And so the pigs won out, right? Like, when you take down a regime, it creates a vacuum, right? It creates a void, and it seems unavoidable that somebody must fill the, like, that's just seems to be the case, that whenever there is a void, it must be filled. Like, even though the thing that was in the void was undesirable, when it goes away, for some reason we have to have it back. Like, I don't know what it is, but we have to fill that void. Like, I don't know how we could ever take something away and just let the hole remain and never fill the void and just let it be, right? But then perhaps now you're getting into the concept of anarchy, or feudal societies, perhaps. I don't know where the lack of leadership comes in, but they decided to get rid of this regime, the farmers, and now the pigs are the predominant voice. And of course, obviously, through the story, the pigs become just like the farmers. And then, you wanted to bring up Boxer, right? This workhorse, the person who's supposed to be the ideal. Uh,
Yeah.
I'm short on my terminology from the Marxist concepts. You've got the bourgeoisie, and then you've got
He was the
the
perfect citizen.
yeah, the perfect citizen. Like, you got the proletariat, the bourgeoisie,
Yeah.
and and he's the ideal citizen that just puts in his work, puts his head down, doesn't get involved in the politics really, other than just being willing to align with what seems to be the leading party, essentially. and just does what he's supposed to do, and he works really hard because everybody believes hard work is the best thing, right? Like work hard, and yet he destroys himself essentially in his
Mhm.
work.
He does.
And then not only that, but those who purported to be the answer to the revolution, those who were the biggest voices that decided they needed to be in place of the previous elites, if you will, they decide that his value is completely diminished
Mm.
and send him off to the glue farm, right? And
Yeah.
so now is the question, was Boxer a victim or not? And I think the first inkling of thought is yes, he was a victim, but that's something to discuss. Perhaps today we should discuss that. Like, was Boxer a victim, or did he make his choice and just maybe regretted the choice that he made potentially? Like, because like there's a difference between being a victim of something and suffering the consequences of your choices. And suffering consequences of choices doesn't have to just be a bad thing. I mean, perhaps using the word suffer puts a negative connotation on it right away. Choices have consequences, and consequences may or may not be positive or negative. They just may be consequences. Like some things are fixed. Gravity, right? We have an understanding in the observation of how gravity works on our planet. We have calculations for it. And everybody knows that if you're a kid with a cape on and you jump off the roof of your house, gravity is going to take effect. Now, is that child a victim of the consequence of making this decision that's being affected by gravity? And you think, well, no, that's a scientific principle. That's a law of nature. And so when we're talking about people or systems, whether it's the pigs or the farmers or whoever who have taken over, that's not nature, right? But wait a minute, what about the void that happened that we feel like is that nature? Are we naturally inclined to fill a void? And if so, is it natural for those that fill a void to essentially become corrupted anyway? Like, is there any way not to be corrupted if you're given an opportunity to lead? And it's, that this is the conundrum of humanity. Do we have the capacity to not be corrupted when given the opportunity to be in charge of other human beings? And
And that's a great point, because if you're a leader, you are in charge of people, you have people who follow you. And do you want those people to be like Boxer, that you discard when they've reached the end of their usefulness to you? Do you want them to be like sheep? The sheep were there in the book from the start to finish because they just follow you blindly. And when we talk about leadership, what leadership do you want for others? And I know Magdalena's an expert on leadership because she talks about this all the time. So, what is it about a leader, and is it not about you as the leader? Is it about who is following you, and how much care do you have in those people who are following you, and how important are they them to you? Because if they're not that important to you, which was the case in Boxer, then I don't know quite what sort of leader you might be. Anyway, Magdalena, over to you. I know you've got loads of thoughts on this one.
Ooh, that's the rough and tough.
Haha, yep.
Uh, I took few notes because while JC was sharing his perspective, some few ideas just rang the bell.
Mhm.
Mm, I think just starting from what you have said, Simon, I think it will be clarity on which ego is our key drive.
Yes.
And that links with corruption.
Mm.
That brings us to the dark and good side
Mhm.
from Star Wars.
Yep.
And even based just on that, the very simple question, why always the dark side gets so much attention and followers? Why people are so easy to go on that side rather than on good side?
Because they don't know they're doing it in many cases, like Boxer. really. I mean, he didn't go to the dark side, but it didn't work well for him, and he thought he was on the side of good, but the good side didn't support him in that. It and I think that's, I think we can all relate to that in some way, shape, or form in what we do in our everyday lives. It's
Can
yeah,
can we see Boxer as a, I don't know, a leader? I would rather say he was just a silent, passive citizen,
yep, yep,
and the change came, and he continued his way of work, his
he
way
did,
of
he
being
did,
as it
he
was
did.
before.
Yes, he did. Very good
What
point. Yeah.
JC have said, was he a victim? Was he even aware what kind of position he's playing there? I think
Mm,
he was, we can't really see in him victim other than he was the strong part of the society he was brought up
yes.
within. And he grew up in the system of beliefs.
Hmm.
This is how you should do. This is how you should work. This is how you should show up.
Yeah.
Uh, this is what you need to do. Without AI system, you cannot run organization today,
Mm,
right? This is what you have to do. So
yeah.
the boxer was the, by nature, follower of
Yeah.
those directives, and he just continued that in the best way he could.
Mm,
Had he any expectations?
yeah.
He most probably believed that he's contributing to a better tomorrow.
Yes. 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 And he never changed his behavior. Really, he carried on with what he believed was the right thing to do, regardless of what was really going on around him. And he just had, as you said, he had that very focused view on, okay, I'm a workhorse, I do this, I believe this, I'm going to do it, blah,
Mm.
blah, blah. And he continued down that path. And it, as we said, it didn't end well for him. And are we doing that with this AI world? Boxer never changed. He never had a different worldview. And maybe we need a different worldview at the moment. I don't know what that worldview may be, but JC, back to you. Worldview.
Yeah.
Well, where do we go with that one?
So I really love this idea. I don't know that Boxer would have ended any differently had it been any other situation, whether the
Yeah,
farmer was still there, whether the pigs were in charge, whether the chickens managed to revolt and take charge. I don't think he would have changed, right? I think,
yeah,
and he would have
that's
still worked himself to the bone until he died.
mm,
Now, perhaps the end being sent to the glue factory, we consider that a bad thing, right? We say that's, but the farmer probably would have done that, because the pigs essentially became like the farmer. Would the
yeah.
chickens have done that? If the sheep were allowed to be in charge somehow, would they have done that? And if so, is going to the glue factory like really the problem, or is the problem that Boxer could have been something other than what he was that might have actually created a real different outcome for others,
Yes.
like maybe Boxer should have taken on the concept of leadership. The it's always those who refuse to lead that are the ones that everybody wants for a leader, like in
Mm,
terms of like the most egalitarian results you want, you need somebody who doesn't want to be in charge to be in
yes.
charge. And so there's that idea, but then again, it comes to where you start and where you are. And for Boxer, he started as a workhorse, and he
Yeah.
is the workhorse, and that's what he does, and he just stayed in the lane that he knew. He didn't diverge out of that. And so, if he was a victim at all, I would say he was a victim of his culture,
Mhm. Yeah.
more so than anything else. His own culture, his own place where he was raised, how he was born, how he was genetically disposed, if you will. He was perhaps a victim to that more so than to anything else that was out there. So And so and back to the business idea of this, the farm, right? And here's the one other point I wanted to make, and maybe it's a divergent point. Sorry if I'm going off on a huge tangent, but I've been pondering about where AI fits into this construct of the animal farm. And I had the idea a few minutes ago that I didn't have before this, that perhaps the windmill is AI.
Yes.
And so that's kind of an idea that I have, like, because like they built the windmill and it was useful and everybody joined in on the project, but then Napoleon decided that they needed to break it a little bit and get back to different ideologies, but it was being used for the purposes of the leadership that was apparent, in the pigs and whatnot.
Yeah.
So
No, absolutely, completely. And the windmill is a great analogy. And it's interesting that and I completely agree with you, the boxer could have been a real leader, but it wasn't what he saw in himself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why he didn't step up, for want of a better word, because he saw himself as his place in society. And if we're talking about leadership, then as you said, the best leaders are the ones who would never want to be leaders. We want them to be leaders, but they won't be leaders. And going back to you, Magdalena, how do we get people to understand leadership, particularly those who would be wonderful leaders but don't want it? Because the ones who want leadership are usually not the people we want to be leaders. A real dichotomy there, real interesting thing we can talk about.
From even story of boxer, we can consider they knew what is his strength.
Yes.
But make sure that he will not realize how strong he is. We will keep him in line.
Yes.
We will clap. You do good. Keep doing. You do good.
Yes.
So he was happy with this. I'm good. So I keep doing the same thing, and every day even more, right? I am committed more. If he would be just aware what kind of inner strength he has, maybe story would be different.
Exactly. Yes.
There are many people who are very wise, who are very smart, but they come from the circumstances that they do not consider they do not consider themselves so, because they didn't receive this loud encouragement.
Yes.
And for the irony, we see quite a lot of people who are positioned into the leadership. Why? Because they will serve other people, higher people, purpose. And what GC says, resources.
Yep.
Those positioned leaders are becoming resources of someone else. They are fulfilling my vision. This positioned leader is not aware of it. She is enjoying the position, the power, but then the system higher is having more power, and we are landing on the corruption.
Have you ever felt like AI is taking over?
Well, we know that AI is the biggest workplace shift since the internet, and it's already here. This is AI&I, the age of co-intelligence.